A customer tells you exactly what they want, clear as day. You nod, you scope it, you build it, and then somehow you got it completely wrong. I have been building software for over a decade. Products for startups, enterprise clients, everything in between. And one of the most consistent lessons I have learned is that customer feedback is almost never a literal document. It is a translation exercise. What people say and what they mean exist in two completely different languages, and nobody gives you the dictionary. This is not about customers being dishonest. Most of the time, they are not. They genuinely believe what they are telling you. The problem is, they do not know how to describe a software problem any more than I know how to describe a chest pain to a cardiologist. They give you symptoms. You have to diagnose the actual condition. So here are 7 things customers say all the time and what they actually mean. Because if you take these phrases at face value, you will be 3 sprints deep into the wrong solution before anyone realizes what happened. Let's start with the most dangerous phrase in product development. It's really simple. Just. The word just is doing a lot of heavy lifting in that sentence. Just add a search bar. Just let users export to Excel. Just make it work like Google. What they mean is, I have seen this feature somewhere else. Therefore, I believe it requires no effort. They have no idea what lives underneath. No idea about the data model changes, the edge cases, the third-party API that does not support that output format, or the fact that Works Like Google is a company that employs tens of thousands of engineers. Every time a customer says, it's simple, I mentally add 2 weeks to the estimate and start asking questions. What exactly triggers this? Where does the data come from? Who needs to see it and in what format? 9 times out of 10, the simple thing unravels into a proper feature with real complexity the moment you start pulling at the thread. Whenever you hear, just slow down, that is not a green light. That is a request for a proper scoping conversation. Here's another one that should trigger immediate alarm bells. I'll know it when I see it. This sounds like flexibility. It is not. What it actually means is, I have a very specific vision in my head that I cannot articulate, and I am going to keep rejecting your work until you accidentally build the thing I was imagining. This is how you end up on your 5th design iteration for a dashboard that was almost there every single time. The customer is not being difficult on purpose. They genuinely do not have the vocabulary to describe what they want up front. But that lack of articulation becomes your problem the moment you start building. The fix is to make them see things before you build them. Not wireframes at the end of a 2-week sprint. Rough sketches in Figma after day 2. Reference screenshots. Competitor products. Style tiles. Make them react to something concrete before a single line of code is written. Force the vocabulary out of them. Because I'll know it when I see it just means they have not seen the right thing yet. Your job is to find it cheaply. Number 3, and this one is a classic. Can we just make it a bit more intuitive? Intuitive is one of those words that sounds like feedback, but contains 0 actual information. What does intuitive mean? It means they are confused by the current experience and they do not know why. They cannot tell you which button is in the wrong place, which flow is broken, or what expectation the product is violating. They just know something feels off. What they are actually saying is, something is frustrating me, and I do not have the UX vocabulary to describe it precisely. So when you hear more intuitive, do not go redesigning the whole interface. Sit with them and watch them use the product. Literally, watch. Ask them to talk out loud while they navigate it. Where do they pause? Where do they click the wrong thing? That is where the actual problem is. It is almost never about the overall design language. It is usually one specific flow that breaks their mental model. Intuitive is a symptom. You still have to find the diagnosis. Moving on. This next one kills me every time. We don't need anything fancy. Translation. I do not want to feel like I am asking for too much, but I absolutely am. Customers say this to seem reasonable. They do not want to be the difficult client. So they front load the conversation with humility. No fancy stuff. Keep it simple. Basic functionality is fine. And then the requirements come in. Bulk user import with CSV validation. Role-based access control with 4 different permission levels. Audit logs for compliance reasons. An integration with their legacy CRM that uses SOAP and was built in 2009. None of that is fancy to them. Fancy means animations and gradients. They are completely unaware that what they have described is a 6-month build. We don't need anything fancy as customers speak for, I trust you, please do not overcharge me. It is a relationship signal, not a technical specification. Receive it warmly, then do your proper discovery anyway, because the requirements that follow will tell the actual story. This next one is subtle, but it shapes entire products in the wrong direction. Our users are not very technical. What they mean is, please make this easy to use. What they are accidentally implying, and what teams often take away, is dumb it down. Strip out features. Make it child simple. And then you build something so stripped back that the actual users, who turn out to be reasonably capable adults, feel patronized by the interface and cannot do half of what they need to do. I have seen this happen on products aimed at nurses, at teachers, at logistics coordinators. Smart, capable people who use software every day. Not technical just means they did not study computer science. It does not mean they cannot handle a filter option or a keyboard shortcut. Whenever a client says this, push back gently. Ask, what specifically have users struggled with in the past? Get concrete examples. Because building for not technical as an abstract concept leads to interfaces that are clean on a demo day and useless in production. Here is another one that drives me absolutely crazy. We just need a few small tweaks, no. What they need is a redesign, a data migration, and approximately 3 new back-end services. But they have convinced themselves it is tweaks because the changes look small from where they are standing. This one is particularly dangerous in ongoing client relationships. The product is live. Things are going well. And then, we were thinking, could we change how the billing works? That is not a tweak. Billing logic is wired through everything. Payments, invoices, user states, notification triggers, reporting. You pull one thread and half the system needs touching. The problem is that customers experience software as a front end. They see screens. They do not see the database schema behind the screen or the event queue that fires when a status changes. So to them, changing a label from pending to in review and changing the entire state machine that label represents are roughly the same size task. When someone says tweaks, ask them to describe each one in detail before you agree to anything. And finally, the one that really gives it away. It's not a priority, but everything after but in that sentence is a priority. They are just managing their own guilt about asking for more. What they actually mean is, this is important enough for me to mention, but I do not want you to think I am being demanding. So I will frame it as optional, and then be quietly disappointed when it does not appear in the next release. This phrase is where silent expectations are born. You hear, not a priority, and log it as a nice to have. They said it casually, so you filed it casually. Then 3 months later, they are asking why that thing was never built, and they are not happy about it. The discipline here is to treat every "it's not a priority," but as a genuine requirement that needs a home somewhere. Acknowledge it, write it down, put it in the backlog with a note attached. Tell them, we have captured that, and it will come up in our next planning cycle. Do not let it evaporate. Because the moment they feel like they were not heard, the trust erodes, and no amount of clean code fixes that. Here is the real takeaway from all of this. Customers are not your product spec. They are your raw material. Your job is not to transcribe what they say and build it. Your job is to understand what they need well enough to build the right thing, even when they have described the wrong thing. Every phrase I have walked through today is a signal that more conversation is needed. Not a longer document. Not more JIRA tickets. A real conversation where you ask the follow-up question that most people skip because they are in a hurry to start building. The developers and founders who are good at this do not just code faster. They listen better. They know that the brief is always a starting point and never a destination. And they have learned, usually the hard way, that building the wrong thing quickly is the most expensive thing you can do. If you have heard one of these phrases this week and felt it in your chest, subscribe. New video every week. You know what to do.